Oh my. Oh my.
You are now tuned in to the Revolution Podcast.
Yo, you know what it is and what it do. It's your boy J Love, and you are tuned in to the Revolution Radio Show. As always, I'm here with Mark DeMoica. How you feeling?
Wonderful, man. Peace and blessings, people.
Glad to hear. And I got Miss Cherie Marlene.
Hey, everybody.
So, look, we can't get away from this, man. It's almost the middle of October, right? And we are smack dab in the middle of an election. We have to talk about it. We have to talk about the ridiculousness. So I'm going to jump in by saying, what did you guys think? I mean, obviously, the presidential debate was lovely and jolly, right? But we'll skip that one for a second. And what y'all think of Kamala and Joe? I mean, no, not Joe. I'm sorry.
Mike.
Mike. Miss Cherie Marlene, what do you think since, she was supposedly representing women of all hues? How do you think Kamala did?
I mean, I think she handles herself well. I think they both handled themselves well.
I'm talking.
That she kept saying. And as I mentioned to you, now I'm seeing all the memes with women, we have a voice, right? But so I think she handles herself well, but I think they were both I think there's just such a pettiness, right? That's the underlying, I mean, those are just my thoughts.
Well, here's my problem. Nobody answered a question.
Right.
And that was frustrating to me. They all just danced around and it became, did I get as much time as him? Okay, but we're still trying to, there are more topics. I know, but he got that much time. Do I get that much time? And he did the same thing.
Yeah, and it's just like, can somebody answer a question?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say the answer part, because if you notice, they said the same thing over and over and over again. So obviously it was scripted to say what they wanted to say.
Yeah.
No matter how many times you said it, even though the question was totally different. And I think, what's interesting is like the moderator. I mean, could she have not been more soft, Mr. Pence, Mr. Vice President, Senator.
But these people are crazy.
Yeah.
These people, and look, this is who we're entrusting our futures, our lives to, right? And so really, which lends me to the question, if either of you are going to answer it, because apparently people don't answer questions nowadays. But like this whole thing, okay, should we vote, right?
Right.
Should we vote?
Okay, what do you mean, should we?
Okay, because look, and I'm just speaking from what I hear people say, and just I see this all the time. Like, does my voice or my vote really matter? Right. And like, because I'll be honest, to me, it's two sides of the same coin. I saw your little thing, Mark. My bad.
Good. No problem.
But it's a two-headed snake, right?
Yeah.
They both ridiculous to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, so if you're voting for one, is it really gonna make a difference? Like, Trump is a racist, flat out, right? But both Kamala and Joe have put more black men in jail than anybody in the history of the United States of America.
Right. That part.
So, like, I'm asking, does our vote matter? Because I'm going to weigh in a minute, but Mr. Mark DeMoica.
Okay, so who are you saying should we?
People, everybody.
Okay, well,
everybody.
Well, yeah.
I mean, especially people of a darker hue.
Well, there's my. That's where I was headed with that.
Okay.
So, the issue though is, unfortunately, because voting for those at that level is all about your emotion. It has nothing to do with practicality. It has nothing to do with, policy, because most people don't even know what policy is or how it works. So,
right.
And they're building on your emotion. That's why the meme is such a big thing with, women in her face. And, so they're trying to get that emotion. So unfortunately, because most people don't understand how the political process works, and to be truthfully honest, where your vote truly counts, nobody votes. Nobody knows their city councilman. No one knows the mayor. No one knows where you really can make a change, where your vote really has some substance.
So are you saying people are more focused on the emotion behind it versus the facts? And that's why they're capitalizing on the whole women have a voice now, because now it doesn't matter what they're gonna do if they win. Now it's about, but women have a victory.
But that's what they're going to play it as, but that's not necessarily what's going to happen because, to be truthfully honest, policy is policy. Let's be true. I mean, women have a voice. Pelosi is what? The speaker, right? How long she been speaker?
Yeah, okay, but it's the same thing. Okay, so to your point, it's like with Obama, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Obama was like a moral victory, was like an emotional victory, right? But I mean, did things really change in the black community under Obama?
So that's my point, because I feel like probably more black people voted that year, right, than ever, because it was about, well, I even remember that's when we were working together, and you're like, do you understand, though, if a black president wins, then I can look at my son and say, you can be president one day.
Yes.
I remember you said those exact words to me.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because now we've gotten past the optics, right? Because I never thought in my lifetime I would see, I did not think we would see a black president. Like, I didn't think that was a reality, right? Because even Pac, right? We ain't ready to have a black president, right?
Okay.
But now, to have a woman in the office, even if it's his vice president, it's like, it's a moral victory.
No, I totally
So
agree.
regardless of the outcome, it's just the fact that she is the woman.
I mean, at this point,
I mean, let's be real. To be truthfully honest,
Okay.
Hillary was supposed to win. So I don't think Donald knew he was going to win.
Okay.
Donald didn't look.
So
let's everybody.
Well, I mean, so let's get to the point. I mean, because if you notice once, back to your point that you stole from me, which is
I love how you had to throw that in. Like you just couldn't let him get away with it.
Not today. But it's the same, it's two sides of the same coin. Unfortunately, for as long as this democracy, which it never states any paperwork, the Constitution, the preamble, the Bill of Rights, any of that, democracy is nowhere on that paper. And we're supposed to live in a world of this is democracy. So the thing is that whether we vote or not, and back to your point, should we vote? You should vote because you do have a voice, regardless if it's heard that you think, but at least you can say I voted, and you can't, and no one can negate that part. That I said this is how I felt, and leave it at that. How it happens is how it's going to happen. There's nothing we could do about that part. But the point is if you don't vote, then shut your mouth.
Well,
so I feel like, yes, you should vote. And plus, my brother is currently watching our live, so he'd be very mad at me if I said you shouldn't vote. So yes, you should vote, but I do also think you should vote responsibly, right? Like, do your due diligence. You shouldn't vote out of an emotion. You should vote on facts.
Yes, thank you. So I'm going to take the gloves off, and I'm going to keep it 100, like, about everything. Number one, if anybody literally, like, if you support, like, I don't care who you support, right? But if you really believe that Trump cares about you in, the heartland of America, and Trump don't care about nobody, like, that's ridiculous. This dude is a narcissistic maniac who cares about nothing but himself. So I'm gonna keep it one. Yo, you're ridiculous if you believe in Trump. On the flip side, whatever.
It's fine.
On the other one,
we understand.
Start a new one. Flip hand.
On the other hand,
on the flip hand, that's the new one. Joe Biden. Come on, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, like they don't have an agenda for us. Nobody has and when I say us, I mean specifically not just black people, but poor people, disenfranchised people. That's the bulk of America. So even if you're not black, if you're poor, you're disenfranchised, we on the same team. They don't care about you. I believe and I hate this narrative that they've given, because I used to buy into this and I used to believe this, which is, people died for the right to vote, right? That they give black people and they get into our emotions, right? Talking about emotions, and people die. Nobody ever died for the right to vote. People died because they were black and they had the audacity to want to be equal. Right? Mm-hmm. Which is part of what the vote is. They didn't die for voting. They died because they were black, because people didn't like the fact that they wanted to be equal, whether it was voting, riding a bus, walking on the same side of the street, whistling at a white girl.
Being out after dark.
Exactly. So I vote because you ain't going to be able to tell me that I can't. And that's why you should vote, because no one has the right to take away that from you. And that's why you should exercise your vote and your voice. But to your point, Miss Shireen Marlene, I'm wound up right now. Be educated about what you're voting on and who you like. I had someone tell me recently, a friend of mine tell me why they voted for or they're gonna vote for Trump, and to her point, I was like, okay, I feel, because she honestly feels that Trump is better for the economy, that he handles China better, and like she gave me her points. So I was like, okay, cool. It wasn't on this rhetoric of "Make America Great Again." Right. She gave me some points. So
you just respected that she had facts.
Yeah, I still think she's crazy.
Well,
but.
Go ahead.
Okay, but she made her point, and I'm like, okay, cool. So be educated on your vote. So I'm gonna go done with my rant for right now.
I think that's important. Sure? But here's the thing about knowing the knowledge of anything you do. Forget just voting. Mm-hmm. You should be knowledgeable about whatever decisions you make.
Period. You're just going to take it to
don't just get
place.
Just get your news from Facebook.
No, or Wikipedia or whatever. My thing is to be truthfully honest. I mean, people, in this world. I mean, back when we grew up. I'll just say we, because y'all some youngsters in here. But we had to research, like literally research. You had to go find it somewhere in periodicals or microfiche.
Even a microfiche.
Does anybody know what microfiche is? Downstairs in the library. But those things are important. And you said a key point as well, as far as knowing what you're voting for. I mean, you got people that are looking at, their ballot, and they, back in the day when they used to give you this thick book. Right. Now, if you notice the ballot, there's no really true information and the fine printing of what these propositions are and all these other things. And again, with propaganda, it being the way it is that, they'll tell you one thing that is yes, that you're saying for,
right,
but it's no in the fine print that you're not paying attention to, because they want you, once again, caught up in emotion on that one thing they say yes to. But the no part is the part that really goes further than the yes part. And
so it kind of sounds like the products we buy at the grocery store, where it says 0 this and no this, but if you actually turn it around, it's a whole lot of everything bad for you.
But I mean, and that's the thing. But then when you turn it around and reading it, you actually find out what you're doing, which is the same situation we're talking about as far as voting. You should truly understand the decisions you're making.
Well, even at that, and here's what I keep telling people, and here's my stance right now, is to be quite honest, whoever we have as president of the United States on our personal level affects us very little, right? Mm-hmm. What we need to really pay attention to is the state and local and all of these, because look, this is who, like, throughout my life, there's never been a president of the United States who has put handcuffs on me.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I've never gone to court with the president of the United States.
Right.
But local police officers, local judges, local DAs, allegedly. I'm not saying that I had a lot of handcuffs put on me. I'm just saying allegedly. But had I been arrested, that we're not going to talk about. I'm saying that's where we can finally rise up and show our power and our voice. You really want to change this country? It's the local stuff. If you don't like the police force, we can vote these people out. Another thing, and this is just on my own agenda, I'm sorry. But look, we need to start our own, we need to collectively unionize. You know what I mean?
Well,
you got that.
And I think we've talked about this. This is the most divided our country has ever been. People are looking for reasons to fight with each other.
Yeah.
Whether on social media, and everything is so childish. Everything. Well, I mean, across the board.
You got people who've been friends all their life and found out that they're Trump supporters. Now they're no longer friends. What the heck was that have to do with anything?
That's what I'm saying. Where's the level of maturity where people can just have a conversation without bashing each other, right? But even in our own leadership, though.
Oh, yeah. You can see it. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Remember the question with the little girl? The question with the little during the debate. At the end? It was the last question of the debate, right? With Kamala and with Mike. Because I don't care about the guy, so whatever. But anyways.
You should.
They got They question from an 8th grader, and she said, in a nutshell, if you guys can't get along, right, how can the rest of us get along? So which they were on some and then went in a circle talking about,
and didn't answer the question
exactly. But
Butch was par for the course for the whole doggone debate. They could not answer a question that was asked to them, so it was very interesting.
Which. Side note, and yes, my ADD just kicked in. I'm not going to answer questions from now on. I'm going to have premeditated answers for things and just go in circles when people ask me stuff. Like if you ask me for directions, I'm going to be like, well, in 1984.
Not only that, but shouldn't you be a true fact teller and versus making up your own in the story based on? I'm just saying.
We gonna make stuff up. That's how we do it nowadays. There ain't no fact checking. We gonna make stuff up.
What did Abraham Lincoln have to do with anything they were talking about?
Because because Abraham Lincoln cut down the cherry tree.
Yeah, so that's my point.
Sure.
It's from the top all the way down the entire thing. We're all just a big mess. It's like, just look at your own facts. Stop with the hearsay. Stop with the going around in circles and not.
But I heard on Facebook though, they said the thing on Facebook, and I'm trying to tell you. Look, even for example, because this has been for real having me furious with the Breonna Taylor case, right? Which to talk about fake news or whatever, right?
Wow.
But with this whole Breonna Taylor thing, the part that's crazy to me is that like the stuff that people are spewing is absolutely like false beyond falsities can be false.
Okay, so if something's being said that's false, you have this group of 5 people that are going to take it, run, and talk about it on their social media, to your point of Facebook, and then everything just gets spread like a wildfire.
But let's be clear.
It's like a game of telephone.
The bullet that went into the officer's leg was not from Breonna Taylor's boyfriend's gun. Ballistics showed that. Fact.
Yeah, it was from the other cop.
They lied.
Shooting through the window.
Yeah, they lied on, in order to get the warrant for the no-knock, right? They lied on it. Yeah. Fact. They lied about the U.S., what's his name? The Postmaster General, right? Fact. Everything about this, and the only fact that in terms of legally is true is that it's a fact that the only charge so far that has come across has been for a bullet going into a wall and not for a bullet going into a human being.
Right. The wall's got more rights than the human being.
So then, just to clarify, if we're not supposed to get all of our facts on Facebook and just randomly Google, where do you think people should find their accurate resources?
Well, I mean, maybe not Facebook, but like, yes, Google, there is facts on Google if you actually look.
So what specifically, like, where do you find, for example, the Breonna Taylor and the situation with the bullet? Where'd you find that?
Google. Okay. Yeah, I went and Googled Breonna Taylor case, right? Okay. And then I was able to go on my Google and see actual facts, right?
But how does, and I'm just saying this for everybody, how do they differentiate between facts and hearsay? And is this website credible, or is that website credible?
See, now you're going to throw me off on a whole nother thing.
I'm sorry about that.
Then we're going to be on some like, well, you know what? It's all.
I'm just saying, if we're saying that facts are important and people need to go do their research on actual facts, I just figure we should give them some direction.
Well, I mean, okay, for example, like, I know nowadays it's not like it used to be. Like, we used to have like, and nobody under the age of 40 is going to remember like Walter Cronkite and Dan Rathers.
Well, they're very interesting you bring him up. I mean, Cronkite was, if news was done like Cronkite did news, we would be in a much better space, because he just read the news. He didn't read any rhetoric. He didn't bring anybody from the outside. It was just the facts. And I think it's key. You're back to your point. Well, where do we get these facts? I think if we just got the information the way it's supposed to be, if, we read, to go look up specifically talking about Breonna Taylor, go to Louisville. Police department, those.
Okay, that's a good point.
Because those things are public a record. So you can go find it.
Correct.
Now, granted, if all the information is on the record, is a different situation, but at least that's credible, because that's partly where the case truly is about.
But I'll answer your question. Here's what I tend to, even though they lean a little bit to the left, the New York Times and the Washington Post tend to try to tell the right, and I know they have their leanings, right? But then also the Associated Press, which is basically just supposed to be news. And then when anything doing with the U.S., I like to look at the BBC, because they don't care. Right. And so that's what I tend to look at, to go, okay, let me find out what is going on here, because I know there's a lot of like CNN leans to the left, Fox to the right.
So that's my point, right? So even on resources that people think they can count on, again, they're fighting, right? Because one leans this way, one. So is that credible? Sure, it's credible. One's credible to the left side and one's credible to the right, but is it still the truth? Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like stuff like the Associated Press, which is, supposed to be, non-biased. The BBC, because they're from, the UK.
Well, not only that, but it's not tainted. It's not slanted, because it's outside and they're grabbing the information that they get. So it's definitely different, and Europeans tend to look at things different than we do anyway. So they tend to give you the truth. It's like if you look at sexual reference or whatever, their kids are being exposed to sexual situations earlier, so it's not like a nude beach to us kids would be freaking out.
Right.
You know
I
what
get
I
what
mean?
you're saying.
You go over there,
nude
the
beach in
kids
Europe.
just run around in nude beach every day. So it's those kind of things. So they're exposed to things a little bit different than we are. So, but
So are you saying they approach everything in a more freeing?
I think so.
Okay.
I would say so. Good or bad, I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I definitely think it's different. And I think it's also a better aspect because since we've been in this system already and we are either slanted left or right, to see it coming from that perspective, it's a little bit more open because it's not what we're accustomed to seeing.
Well, and I think even for us as individuals, the thing that I've been trying to do, because I know I have my leanings. I mean, I think I'm right down the. I consider myself a moderate, like I'm in the middle, right? I'm a conservative liberal, right?
Not a liberal conservative?
Or a liberal conservative,
Okay.
one of the two. But I try to tell people, like, if we're gonna have this conversation, I don't want to hear your opinion. Let's talk facts.
But then
Okay.
that goes back to my argument. I feel like all the facts are still based on a game of telephone. I don't think they're all fully facts, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we can definitely figure them out to a relatively.
But don't you think one skewed fact can change the entire discussion?
Of course.
Of course,
my point.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Okay, but the facts that I know.
Are they facts though? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I know the truth.
But I
I
think
am the truth seeker.
What James Love says is the truth. Did you guys get that? If it's out of his mouth.
look in the dictionary,
it's the
truth
fact.
is James Love's word.
Yes, so there it is. You might not like it, but that's the truth.
But I think what's really important about in just this conversation period is actually the conversation part. I think both sides need to just have the conversation. And unfortunately, we're not in a place where we can agree to disagree, because if you don't believe what I say, I cut you out. You know, you don't follow the same faults that I have.
But why can't I disagree with you? That's
you
the problem
can.
I'm
No, no,
having.
no.
Can. So I think we all agree that we can agree to disagree.
I don't
we
agree with you. No.
I mean,
I disagree.
that was definitely
where's
not
the
Bob
look?
talking
Where's
to me
the
right
look?
now.
Yeah, exactly.
That was definitely
that was
not
not
Bob. That
Bob.
was way too much passion for Bob.
Look, we've established on this show that I'm a white man.
Yeah, name
Okay,
Bob. Yeah, we got
so-
that.
Well, you're not conducting yourself well right now, Bob.
Which one guy are you right now?
I'm Bob.
Bob
Damn it.
I think-
from where's Bob from?
Wisconsin.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's why Bob is just right.
Don't you know? And
Uh-oh.
And so, but no, I really want to, like, why can't we disagree with each other? Like, this is the part that's bugging me out. Is it, okay, look, whether Trump wins or Joe Biden wins, let's be honest, right? It's 4 years. Like, in the big scheme of things, it's 4 years, right? I mean, look how quick this, I mean, it might 2020 feels like 100 years, but
Oh my God.
it might feel like forever. But I mean, it goes by. Right? And then we'll get whoever's next to come in, and we'll get whoever's next after that. Like, in the big scheme of things, let's be honest, there's only so much that a president can do one way or the other.
Okay.
So why can't I look at you and disagree with you, or vice versa? And we still, because I remember, I guess here's what's bothering me. And to your point earlier about us being more divided than ever. Mm-hmm. I knew people who were into Baby Bush, right? When Baby Bush was president, and I didn't like Baby Bush. Maybe I shouldn't be calling him Baby Bush, but you know, George
Junior.
W. Right?
The
but
dub.
I wasn't ready to. We weren't ready to fight. We weren't ready to, like, literally.
But that's what I'm saying. I feel like, and I don't know if it's just because maybe I was a kid and didn't realize, but I feel like it's never been this disrespectful, this childish. Like, there's no respect anywhere.
You're right.
There a new level of disrespect.
Well,
That's why people are lifelong friends are no longer friends anymore.
Well,
'cause
no,
they're so offended.
but
They're so
you made a key point that's very interesting, and I would like to see how this plays out. Is the respect thing? I mean, you've got people who and kids, you know, next generation coming up that don't respect themselves. So the scariest part is, you know, that respect is out the window. What is respect? And I think maybe we need to have that
Disrespect.
conversation
And to me,
at
that-
another time for another show. To mean, like, seriously, what does that mean?
Well, I feel like that goes hand in hand with entitlement, right? This world feels
yeah.
so entitled.
Okay.
It's about them. So
Yeah.
therefore, I don't have to respect you because it's not about you.
Right.
As to where when I was growing up, there is even just your elders you should respect. Oh my gosh, how much are we seeing where young kids are disrespecting the elderly?
I wish they would.
I got people putting me on Front Street because I call people sir and ma'am.
yeah.
What you mean? I'm like, I'm sorry.
Do you know that I actually had one of my, it was Jake, his teacher in elementary school told him, because I raised my kids to say yes ma'am, yes
Of course.
sir. She says, you don't have to call me ma'am. And he came home saying, Mom, she said it's almost like she doesn't want me to at all. And I'm like,
right.
it's
You
not
totally messed it up.
disrespectful. Nobody's calling you
Right.
old.
Right.
It's a
I didn't
sign
say
of
that.
respect.
Right. Well, not only that,
anyways.
but do I know your name? So, I mean, what's the problem? I mean, if I'd have called you ho, then you'd have been like, hey, you know what I'm saying?
You just took it to the next level. Like,
I'm just saying. I mean, let's be real. If I'd have called, if I just, hey, ho, what's up? Imagine what kind of response I would get.
yeah, those words came out the word. That was Mark DeMoyka calling the teacher the hoe. That wasn't me.
Oh my.
But look,
Anyway.
You're all, which one would you prefer?
Okay, so
Jeez.
here's another thing that we need to really talk about. We're talking about 4 years and 4 years and 4 years. Well, let's talk about these senators and House of Representatives that are in there for life, and no one's saying anything. They're the ones that are really making the law change. They're the ones that are pushing the papers. They're the ones that are really doing things. So it has nothing to do with the president.
term limits.
Exactly.
Term limits.
And so there you go. So
even the Supreme Court. I'm sorry, you
we-
shouldn't die in the Supreme Court.
Right. Well, yeah. My question is can we put that on the ballot?
Look,
Where do we go for that?
and again, that goes
Can you do
back
some
to,
research, researcher?
Yes, we're gonna research the research and find the semi quasi real news and figure it out.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
when you find what that is, let the people know.
but look,
James Love. James, you start your own.
But look, at the end of the day, I mean, and here's the crazy part is we need dialogue, we need back and forth, but we need to be able to do it respectfully. We need to be able to be okay with having different points of views and different, I guess, different opinions. But we got to be able to do this with some measure of integrity and some measure of respect and with love for one another, to be honest with you, so.
How do you think it gets there, though? Acknowledgement?
Well, okay, is knowing this. At the end of the day, I think this is what has people frustrated. Like, the sky is falling, right? And I think, and this is what brings me to my final point, is this. And I'm going to use a scripture, right? But Philippians 1:6 is one of my favorite scriptures. And it says, confidence is knowing this, that he who began that good work in you is faithful to bring it to completion. And what I mean by that is this, is that at the end of the day, we have to have the confidence to know that, you know what, we're going to be okay. Humanity, even specifically the United States of America, we've seen rough times before. We've seen, in my opinion, darker times than this. Like, I don't see brothers being lynched outside. I mean, these modern day lynchings, but you get what I'm saying? Hanging from a tree.
Right.
Well,
No.
what we did earlier, but it's crazy.
No, I hear
But
you.
you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
the stuff that we've seen we've been here before. And we have to have the confidence of knowing, you know what? I don't know how. I may not have the answers. You may not have the answers. Even the people that we look to as leadership may not have the answer today.
Right.
But we're going to be okay if we're willing to work together, if we're willing to come together, if we're willing to, because at some level, I care about you, and in the same way that I care about my own family, right?
Right.
I care about your well-being. And if we can do that, whether we're Republican, Democrat, gay, straight, black, white, none of that will be an issue if we're able to come to a particular level of saying, hey, what's going to be better for all of us? Like, I know in rural areas, we might have different needs than LA or New York, but I know you still need to eat.
Right.
Just like I need to eat. You want your kids to have a good education, just like I want my kids to have a good education. So with that being said, like, there has to be a common ground that has nothing to do with parties, that has nothing to do with race, that has nothing to do with
to
age or
me, the
gender.
reference that you brought up was the key. You brought up scripture. So if people would just go back to that,
Wow.
what does your shirt say? Vote for love. What is love? So
Speaking of that, vote for love. I don't know if you can see this on my vote for. Can I stand up? Yeah, vote for
So
love.
dramatic.
You can get this officially on the website,
So yes, you should vote.
therevolutionradioshow.com. You can get these exclusively, all the merch. That's what's up.
but I think if we go back to the love, the scripture, then it now becomes about, to your point, everybody else, because that person still needs to eat. It's no longer self-focused. I think everybody's so self-focused that's where we're losing them. If we get back down to love, it's no longer about you.
Boom. It's all about love, baby. That's why it's my name. You dig? So, but look, we want to hear from you. Definitely got to reach out to us. We're on Instagram at The Revolution Radio Show. You could find us individually at Mars Mindset.
Yes, sir.
I knew that. At J Love Official and at
Marky D Official.
Marky D Official.
MARKYDEE
Oh.
Official.
Woo! Woo!
Oh my.
So you know what it is? It's the Revolution Radio Show, formerly the Revolution Podcast, because we're doing big things. Look, stay tuned. We want to hear from you. But like we said, love is everything. So as usual, reach for your best, reach for success, but most of all, reach for God, because God is love and love is everything. I'm your boy, J Love.
Thank you for joining us. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We want to hear from you. Instagram at The Revolution Podcast, at JLoveOfficial, and at Mars Mindset.